wabarakatuh. We are from group 7 and we would like to introduce ourselves, and my name is Nurul Maulidina Sembiring as a moderator, and my friends.
My name is Tika, Ayunda, Herani.
And I'm Mira Kurniati.
And in this video, we would like to explain about language acquisition. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nurul Maulidina Sembiring and I would like to explain about interlanguage. Some points of interlanguage. First, definition of interlanguage. Second, pioneers of interlanguage. Third, schools of second language acquisition. And characteristic of L2 acquisition and interlanguage, and explicit and implicit learning develop interlanguage, and interlanguage pragmatics, and the last, synthetic transfer and interlanguage. First, definition of interlanguage. An interlanguage is an ideolect that has been developed by a learner of a second language or L2, which preserves some features of their first language or L1, and can also overgeneralize some L2 writing and speaking rules. Thus, two characteristics of an interlanguage result in the system's unique linguistic organization. And second, pioneers of interlanguage. First, interlanguage was first coined by Larry Slinker in his 1972 work called Interlanguage, published in the International Review of Applied Linguistics. Second, Uriel Weinreich, 1922 until 1967 of Columbia University, is said to have discovered the L2 system of language some 19 years before Slinker coined the term. Unfortunately, he died before he could establish the system. And the last, Stephen Corder used the term idiosyncratic dialogue in 1971 to refer to what Slinker called interlanguage. And the third, school of second language acquisition. The some points are first, behaviorist, second, mentalist theory, and the last, environmentalist. And next, acquisition and interlanguage. I would like to tell about some points of acquisition and interlanguage. The first, the learner constructs a system of abstract linguistic rules, a mental grammar that is invented in the learner's mind and underlies comprehension and production of the target language. Second, learners may have variable rules that conflict with one another or compete at any stage of development. And learner's grammar is transitional, change and restructures the interlanguage. And fossilization does not occur in L1 learning and might occur in L2 without error feedback. Okay, thank you. I think my explanation is enough, and next will be continue by Tika, Ayunda, Herani.
Okay, next I'm Tika, Ayunda, Herani. Now I want to explain about explicit and implicit learning developed interlanguage diverse, contrastive analysis, and then the second error analysis. The next, interlanguage pragmatic. The first point, the study of how second language learners develop the ability to express their intention and meaning through different speech acts by Bardovi Harlik. The second point, pragmatic competence in interlanguage is the idea of a separate component of interlanguage dealing with the language system of pragmatics, which encompasses the more restricted domain speech act by Koike. The next, syntactic transfer and interlanguage. The first point, the extent of syntactic transfer is particularly large for complex target structures and among learners of lower proficiency levels. Due high proficiency, learners may also rely on the syntax and vocabulary of their previous language. Linguistic repertoire. The first language when finding it difficult to produce output and the target language by Chan. The second point, transfer is more widespread among lower intermediate students, but many upper intermediate students also produce strings that strongly resemble the structure of second language.
Thank you, Tika, Ayunda, Herani, and will be continued by Mira Kurniati.
Okay, I'm Mira Kurniati. I will be continued by Tika. And the next point is attitudes toward interlanguage. The sum points is attitudes toward speech are measurably distinct from attitudes toward the person speaking. Jinan, 1984. The second point, at least one background variable area where sight influence language attitudes differently than socio-affective attitudes. And the second point is interlanguage attitudes are related to native speaker perception of comprehensibility of non-native speaker speech and to native speaker perception of the ability. And the second, interlanguage. Interlanguage is the some point our competence is building in inner knowledge. And the second, interlanguage attitudes are basically evaluative in nature, not effective. And the third point, learners' grammar is permeable and open to influence outside or input and insight. And the fourth, learners' grammar can fossilize or backslide into previous. And the next example of interlanguage. Individuals learning a second language may not always hear spoken L2 words as separate units. Some words might blend together and become a single unit in the learner's L2 system. The blended words are called prefabricated patterns or chunks. These chunks are often not immediately obvious to the learner or anyone that listens to them speak, but may be noticed as the learner's L2 system become more developed and they use the chunk in a context where it does not apply.
Okay, I think our presentation is enough, and thank you for your attention, and I close with
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you.